Okay, it's rolling.
Just do it whenever you want, take as long as you want, reach up there and turn it off when you get through. Start over 100 times if you want.
Alrighty, my name is John Chaisson. I'm going to try to demonstrate a little bit about the new 2014 Redbone calls. Mainly we're going to touch on some of the versatility associated with these calls in a field setting, because that's what we're aiming at. This is more for hunters rather than contest calling, although it will make a very good contest call. We're trying to give hunters a very good tool, just as your gun, your decoys, your blind, concealment, all that. The calls are tools also, but there's a certain way that you have to present air into it, and we're going to come from a different angle in relation to that concept. And as stated before, these calls are going to come either as a double or a single. It's going to come as a double, but it's going to give you the versatility to change it from a double to a single, or if you want to go single back to double, depending on your personal preference. Everybody should be able to find some kind of sweet spot within the range of the call for them to operate. Okay. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate, this is a 2014 call. It's stock. It's set up as a single. The big thing I'm going to demonstrate is if you call with the burst method, and what I mean by the burst method, I mean just a blunt puff of air into the call, it will support that. On open hands too. That right there, that's pretty open. One-handed. See if I can do it left-handed. Okay, that's a single. This one is in double configuration. Okay, that was the burst method. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your particular style and you don't want to put in several hours of changing into the different type of calling. One we call the whistle method, where the air is more like one constant air stream as opposed to just puffs of air into the call. That's fine. We just wanted to demonstrate that the calls will support that. Now the sustained air method. With these calls, you can't overload the start with pressure, and the way to learn this is different. The way to learn this is to start running the call on the lower end, and the lower end with a lot of audible voice. You start making what we refer to as a scratch sound, and it's the scratch sound because it makes you feel something in your throat, in your voice box. You have to do it that strong or volatile to make yourself feel that. Okay, so you start with that heavy voice, and then after a while you try to attach it to cluck. You say, oh, you snuck in on yodel. That's what we're getting at. You start in voice. Let's do it on the single. Then you go into cluck. If you did cluck before, it's just burst of air. Now you're going to put that big in front of it. Try to sneak a yodel in there, keeping everything constant from all you did was put this in it. You led in with the voice. What this is teaching to start the call at a low threshold instead of blasting a high pressure into the call, because it's going to lock the call. The call will tell you when you're presenting the air improperly. It will tell you by hanging up. Okay, I'm using way too much pressure and air at the beginning. So let's back off and try to ramp into it a little bit. Oh, went up too much. Went up too much again. That's with open hands. You can bring down your hands and do it too. What that is teaching you is to start at a low threshold inside of you with hot air from down low, instead of just blasting a blunt force of air all at one time and then trying to go. It's going to lock the call. I'm going to try to lock it, purposely try to lock it. That's what lock sounds like. Gone too far. You got to back off, get back, go all the way to the bottom. Go back to your scratch. All that is derived from this. You say, okay, it looks like you're blowing hard. Yeah, I'm putting significant effort into the call. Does it have to be that way? No. If you have some kind of respiratory ailment that enables you to put that much effort into the call, it will run on less effort. I'm going to purposely try to use minimal effort and see if we can run this way. So this would be minimal effort. Still can go open hands if you want to. Or if you want to mash on it, you can mash on it. But to be able to mash on it, you got to start at that low threshold. Voice automatically puts your origin lower instead of that big ball of pressure at the beginning. Too much. Switch to this other call and try. lot of effort. But that's what you need to learn to be able to take that much effort and convert it into your yodels. It's a lot of effort. Too much. The call will tell you when you're too much. When you put too much in one time, you got to back it down. But it all starts from down low and heavy voice. Or if you don't have that much power, you can start it lighter, but it has to be in that voice that you can feel in here. Still do the burst method if you don't want to take it near this far. But what Redbone is allowing you to do, if at some point you decide you want to take it into this, you have the versatility in this call to be able to do that. Some guys are one-handed callers. You can do that. But what is enabling you to do that is starting down in this. Switch to the other one. Same principle. Whether single or double, same principle. And when you first start this, it's going to have to be done slowly. All you may be able to do, if you go from doing this, it's going to be impossible to go straight into. It's impossible. It takes years to be able to do that. What you have to do is start in segments, and the first being this. Then in the cluck. Okay, you got lost in that. Something happened, it didn't go well. Go back to the scratch, the big voice, and that's it. Now go a little past that, a little more effort to get your cluck, your squeal. A little past that to get your yodel. If you have to do it that slowly, there is nothing wrong with that. At some point, through practice and reps, you're going to get to where but you can't expect yourself to do that right at the beginning. So slow, methodical. What I would suggest, start with the scratch. When you get confident in making that sound, try to go into some clucks. Once again, slow. Get a little comfortable, try to speed it up. Get a little comfortable, try to sneak in a yodel. It doesn't have to be that forceful. You can do it without voice, but if you do it without voice, it has to be started at a low threshold pressure, meaning you can't just bear down and load up and mash it in there. That hang at the top is what would happen if you mash that high end pressure in there all at one time. So you have to put a little bit of ramp into it. That's what I would call clear, and it's coming from low. It's like you'd blow a duck call. Hot air, you hear duck callers talk about hot air. It's from low in the airway. That's one way to do it. But the same thing with the voice. The voice is teaching you how to start at a lower threshold than the clear. With voice, it automatically puts you at that lower pressure going in. All started with your airway in the same position on that lower pressure threshold, because the call, like we said before, the call is going to tell you by that little hang. It's going to tell you when you're putting in too much pressure at one time. You hear the little ramp? As opposed to just stuck it. Call told you. Call won't run. Pressure's too high going in. After you get a little bit of experimentation, you'll be able to sound like multiple birds, but it's all on the same theory. You're going to train your airway to present that air at a lower threshold pressure, and you're going to end up doing it at all your different ranges. This grip too. Hands, you can run your hands open. It's not one of these things where your hands have to be exactly right every time. I've ran calls in the past where that was an issue. You spent so much time trying to muscle memory those hands to go in the same place. When you're in a blind and you're trying to hide, your hands will get out of whack. I mean, and the call on your mouth too. You're moving all around, you're ducking, you're trying to watch the birds, you're trying to hide. It's impossible to get the hand position in the same place every time on that precise line if the call requires you to do that. What's nice about these 14s is you can keep your grip open, or it'll run closed down too, but you can keep your grip open and makes hands less critical. Remember, start and scratch. Scratch into cluck. Scratch into cluck into yodel. I hope you enjoy your new call. These are very versatile, and I think they're going to be a very significant tool in the field. Thank you very much.